What is up, mtg-portal, and welcome back to another exciting E.D.H Deck Tech. Today we are featuring and discussing Sliver Overlord in the E.D.H Deck Tech format. So grab a bite to eat, get a drink, sit back, and let's dive into this exciting E.D.H Deck Tech. As always, leave your thoughts and comments down below at the end of the video. Thanks guys, we'll talk to you all soon. Alright, first up we're going to go over the creatures in the deck, so sit back and here we go. Our first sliver up is Acidic Sliver. All slivers have pay 2 colorless, sacrifice this permanent, and this permanent will deal 2 damage to target creature and or player. Our next creature up is Crystalline Sliver. All slivers have Shroud. Our next creature up is Darkheart Sliver. All slivers have sacrifice this creature and you gain 3 life. Next up we have Diffusion Sliver. Whenever a sliver creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its controller pays 2. Next up we have Essence Sliver. Whenever a sliver deals damage, its controller gains that much life. Our next creature up is FIREWAKE Sliver. All slivers have haste and pay 1 colorless, sacrifice this creature, target sliver gets +2/+2 till end of turn. Our next creature up is GALERIDER Sliver. Sliver creatures you control have flying. Our next creature up is Gemhide Sliver. All slivers have tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Our next card up is Heart Sliver. All slivers have haste. Our next card up is Homing Sliver. Each sliver card in each player's hand has sliver cycling of 3. Very cool. Our next card up is Megantic Sliver. All sliver creatures you control get +3/+3. Absolutely ruthless. Our next creature up is Muscle Sliver. All sliver creatures get +1/+1. Our next creature up is NECROTIC Sliver. All slivers have pay 3 colorless, sacrifice this permanent, and destroy target permanent. Our next creature up is Predatory Sliver. Sliver creatures you control get +1/+1. Our next creature up is Quick Sliver. Flash. Any player may play sliver cards as though they had flash. We've also got Sentinel Sliver. Sliver creatures you control have vigilance. I absolutely love that because the bigger they get, the nastier they get. We've also got Shadow Sliver. All slivers have shadow. They can block or be blocked by only creatures with shadow. Very nice little mechanic. We have Sliver Legion. All sliver creatures get +1/+1 for each other sliver in play. This is where it starts to get really dirty. We've also got Sliver Queen. You may pay 2 colorless and put a 1/1 colorless sliver creature token onto the battlefield. Following that, we have Striking Sliver. Sliver creatures you control have first strike. Another very nasty mechanic and lovely in the deck. We've also got Siphon Sliver. Sliver creatures you control have lifelink. It keeps getting dirtier. Two-Headed Sliver. All slivers have this creature can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Very nasty. Venom Sliver. Sliver creatures you control have Death Touch. That'll add some spice to the board. We've also got Victual Sliver. All slivers have pay 2 colorless, sacrifice this permanent, and you gain 4 life. Even more life ramp. We've also got Virulent Sliver. All sliver creatures have Poisonous 1, i.e. Infect. Another fun little additive. And there is, of course, Winged Sliver coming in at the tail end of our creature block. All sliver creatures you control have flying. Next up, we're going to talk about the instants you're going to find in this E.D.H Deck Tech, and they're pretty mean. First up is Path to Exile. Exile target creature. Its controller may search his or her library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle his or her library. We've also got Swords to Plowshares. Exile target creature and its controller gains life equal to its power. Absolutely essential in this deck. Brainstorm. Draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. Definitely essential in getting the slivers you need out. Anticipate. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. We've also got Reclaim. Put target card from your graveyard on top of your library. And last but not least, Tribal Unity. Creatures of the type of your choice get +X/+X until end of turn. It is a massive overrun for the slivers, and god is it nasty. Next up, we're going to talk about the sorceries in the deck, starting it out with my personal favorite, Supreme Verdict. Supreme Verdict cannot be countered. Destroy all creatures. This is an absolute beautiful board wipe. Because even if they're playing a counter deck, sorry, bro, ain't happening. We're also comboing it with Wrath of God. Destroy all creatures. They cannot be regenerated. Again, keeping the stuff off the board we don't want your opponents to have. Demonic Tutor. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. Great card acceleration when you really need it. We've also got Diabolic Tutor for the same reason. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. And if that's not enough, Diabolic Revelation. Search your library for up to X cards and put those cards into your hand, then shuffle your library, getting the slivers that you really need. Cultivate. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, put one onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, then shuffle your library. Great mana acceleration. We also combo that with FARSEEK. Search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. And ending our mana ramp cycle with Kodama's Reach. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, and put one on the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand. We've also got Patriarch's Bidding. Each player chooses a creature type. Each player returns all creature cards of a chosen type this way from his or her graveyard to play. Aphedo's Dredging. Return up to 3 target creature cards of the creature type of your choice from your graveyard to your hand. And ending the cycle with Cruel Ultimatum. Target opponent sacrifices a creature, discards 3 cards, then loses 5 life. You return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand, draw 3 cards, and then gain 5 life. Does it get any better? No, it really does not. Alright, next up we're going to go over the enchantments of the deck. Let's dive right in, starting out with Exploration. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. We've also got Sylvan Library. At the beginning of your draw step, you may draw 2 additional cards. If you do, choose 2 cards in your hand drawn this turn. For each of those cards, pay 4 life or put that card on the top of your library. We've also got ZENDIKAR Resurgent. Whenever you tap a land for mana, it produces an extra mana. Whenever you cast a spell, you draw a card. Next up, we have Rhystic Study. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. Great way to bog down their mana. We've also got Grave Pact. Whenever a creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each other player sacrifices a creature. You'll see why this comes into play with an artifact here soon. Leyline of the Void. If Leyline of the Void is in your opening hand, you may play it for free. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Phyrexian Arena. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may draw a card and you lose 1 life. Not a bad way to rock and roll. Next up, we're going to talk about the artifacts in the deck. Starting out with Mana Ramp. We have Chromatic Lantern. Lands you control. Tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and you may tap Chromatic Lantern to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Next up, we do have THRAN DYNAMO. Tap it to add 3 colorless to your mana pool. Again, great for all spectrums of cards you're going to be playing in this deck. We've also got Gilded Lotus. You may tap it to add 3 mana of any 1 color to your mana pool. Another great addition, especially in the Sliver deck. And last but not least, we do have Soul Ring, rounding out our cards for mana acceleration and ramp in the deck. Next up, we're looking at Lightning Greaves. 0 equip cost, Equipped creature has haste and shroud. Kind of a tongue twister there, I apologize. We've also got Darksteel Plate. Darksteel Plate itself is indestructible. Equipped creature is indestructible, and it has an equip cost of 2 colorless. Great for your commander. We've also got Coat of Arms. Each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares at least 1 creature type with it. That gets nasty fast, especially in a Sliver deck. Then, of course, we're comboing that with Door of Destinies. The Door of Destinies enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, put a charge counter on it. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each charge counter on Door of Destinies. And last but not least, Lifeline. Whenever a creature is put into a graveyard and a creature is in play, return that creature from your graveyard to play at end of turn. Basically, it's a continuous bounce cycle with Grave Pact. Wipes the board, comes back on your side, and you can continue to sack it and bounce it with no repercussions. Alright, next up we're going to go over the Planeswalkers that are going to be featured in this deck tech. Starting out with Nicol Bolas. For +3 loyalty, you may destroy target non-creature permanent. For -2 loyalty, you can gain control of target creature. For -9, Nicol Bolas deals 7 damage to target player. That player discards 7 cards and then sacrifices 7 permanents. He does start with 5 loyalty. Next up, we have Vraska the Unseen. Starting out at 5 loyalty, you may +1 Vraska until your next turn. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to Vraska the Unseen, you will destroy that creature. -3 loyalty, destroy target non-land permanent. -7, put 3 1/1 black assassin creature tokens onto the battlefield. With whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. Alright, MTG Portal, at last we've reached the end of this deck tech. Let's dive into our lands. Starting out with Ancient Ziggurat. We're also rocking Cephalid Colosseum, great late game hand fixer. We've also got Command Beacon, great way to bounce your commander back to your hand and avoid those stacks. We've got Command Tower for the essential mana in the deck. We are also rocking Crystal Quarry to get our bigger creatures out quickly. And we've also got Sliver Hive. You may tap it to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. You can only spend that to cast Sliver spells, or pay 5 colorless, tap it to put a 1/1 colorless Sliver creature token on the battlefield. You may only activate this ability if you control a Sliver. We also have Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, just to make it easier to get our black spells out. Moving into our Scry and Shocklands, we have Temple Garden, Temple of Abandon for a little bit of Scry on the deck. We have Temple of Deceit, additional Scry on the deck. Temple of Mystery. Temple of Silence. Temple of Triumph. Now we're moving into our Shocklands. We have Blood Crypt, Watery Grave, Stomping Ground, Steam Vents, Sacred Foundry, Overgrown Tomb, Godless Shrine, Hollowed Fountain, and Breeding Pool. Our last section for the night is going to be our basic lands. We do run the following. We have 3 basic forests, 3 basic islands, 3 basic swamps, and 2 basic plains. Thank you guys for watching another amazing E.D.H deck tech right here at MTG Portal. I hope you guys enjoyed the Sliver Overlord deck tech. If you did, please smash the subscribe button down below if you're not already a subscriber of MTG Portal. If you are a loyal subscriber and you love our content, please leave a comment down below on what you enjoyed and a comment on what you didn't enjoy if there's something we can do better. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and from everybody here at MTG Portal, we'll talk to you all soon. Take care, guys.